So that is why I love spirituality so much. That's why I practice it. Like I said, it's not just one belief. Spiritual people can have all different types of beliefs. They don't have to believe the same thing. It's it's whatever you want to believe. It's whatever you want to follow, whatever guidance. It's whatever implement or practice you want to do to connect to you.
So find a way to.
Hello, beautiful beings of light. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monica, and today's video is titled, What is Spirituality? Alright, so this is something I've thought about before, and actually for a while, and I'm like, what is spirituality? And I finally came up with something simple today, my own little definition that I would say I would use, and that is spirituality is the act of connecting with your spirit. I don't know what the actual definition is. It could be something like that. I haven't looked it up. But I realized that I didn't have to try to be spiritual in order to be spiritual. I didn't have to practice spirituality to be spiritual, because I believe that we already all are spiritual beings having a human experience, a physical human experience. And I know that there are people who are religious, and that is a form of spirituality. That's not all of spirituality, but it is a practice. And then there are people who aren't religious or consider themselves spiritual at all. I think this includes atheists. I'm not sure what all the correct terms are, where they don't believe in a god or a higher power or anything like that, that the physical is just all that there is. And I respect everyone's belief. In fact, I think it's beautiful that we all have different beliefs, and I definitely don't want anybody to believe everything I believe. So, that being said, you don't have to do anything to be spiritual. You don't have to meditate every day, because I don't. Let's just say I don't. You don't have to have a bunch of crystals. You don't have to study astrology or any other modality, tarot card readings, psychic readings, or feel that you have psychic abilities that you use or anything like that. And spirituality to me is also just anything that's not physical. I mean, you could definitely blend physical, you could do yoga and it'd be a spiritual experience. But again, I'm just talking about the spirit, the soul, what we can't necessarily see or hear, or taste or touch, or smell. It's none of those physical senses. You can't really physically touch, I think, someone's soul. And maybe I'm sure there's people who don't believe in souls or spirits, which is fine. Again, to me, the biggest evidence of there being spirits or souls inside of us is, I'm like, well, what else is animating this physical body? If there was no soul, then what makes it die when something leaves? Something to me has to leave in order for a body to die. Otherwise, it would never die if it's just physical. So that's the way I look at it. And like I said, connecting to your spirit, that can be in any way, shape, or form it looks like to you. Spirituality is literally whatever you want it to be. To me, there's no rules. It's not like religion where you have to follow this exact set of rules in order to be religious. It's like, I wouldn't even call it like making up your own religion, but it's like following your own sense of guidance, your own intuition, your own beliefs. You can take some from every religion or other spiritual people, and you can form it to your own life and follow it as your own wisdom and guidance. Whatever works for you, whatever helps you connect with yourself on a soul level. And yes, that does include certain divinations and spiritual tools that you could use, like sage and crystals and tarot cards or oracle cards, astrology. But it doesn't have, You don't have to use those things if you don't want to. And some of those things resonate for some people more than others. It's nice because there's so many tools that you can pick and choose from. You don't have to just go with one, not one. There's not just one right one. It's different for everybody. And I myself was never, I never considered myself a spiritual or religious person until I had my spiritual awakening. When I actually started practicing spirituality, again, the way to connect to my own soul, to be able to hear my higher self, to be able to have the universe flow through me and guide me uh, with wisdom, I think mostly is my gift to help other people. And I know when I'm doing that, I know when I feel connected to my spirit. And I know when I feel disconnected, even though we're never disconnected, we may not be able to hear our intuition or our guidance or feel it, or we doubt what we feel like we know on a psychic level, like claircognizance. I always have a hard time saying those words, but the clairs. And I believe we are all psychic. We just don't know that we are. And when we're doing it, it's not becoming psychic, it's like becoming aware of when you're using your psychic senses. One of the ways that makes us feel more disconnected from our spirit, from source, from God, from universe, if you have a term you want to use for it, is identifying too much with our ego. And I've heard the acronym for ego being edging God out. Again, it's whatever word you want to use if you don't like the word God, but it's a word to describe kind of the same thing um, that we're talking about. And I truly believe that, because we can start to identify so much with the ego, meaning that separateness of survival. And the ego is all about being separate. And when you're separate, you're not connected. So you're not really connecting to spirit, your spirit, to source, to the universe, to God, or even so much to other people. Because the ego has this thing about being very narrow minded and seeing things only one way, or seeing them in black and white, and believing that everything it thinks is right and everybody else is wrong. And if they're wrong, or if they believe something else, they're wrong. And I don't want to be friends with them. I don't want to associate with them. I don't want to connect with them on any level, because I can't tolerate anybody else having a difference of opinion than me. And an example of this, I'll just use kind of an extreme example, is like racism and KKK, and people who feel that anybody who is not their race is bad or evil or less than. They're not going to put any effort or even be open to connecting with a good chunk of the population. They're separating themselves based on their own beliefs. And I believe when we aren't identifying with the ego as much, we all do to some degree. And I'm not saying the ego is a bad thing ever. It's here to teach us a lesson. It's like, who are we going to trust more, our ego or our heart and soul? Who are we going to follow? We're going to follow the guidance of the ego that does want to protect us. That's its main job. But that protection separates us from source to a certain degree. And I shouldn't say separate, but it takes us further away. We're never separate. Our heart that knows, and our soul, our spirit that knows that everything and everyone is connected, and that it doesn't matter if people have different beliefs or not, that we can still love them on a soul level, as a person, as just for who they are. And we don't try to sever that connection with others who believe differently. We have the heart and soul spirit is very, practices a lot of tolerance and loves people for where they're at in that moment, whether they're like them or not. The ego does not do that. It does the opposite. So that is the main reason why I practice spirituality ever since I had my spiritual awakening. Before I really believed in anything, I always believed that there was like a God or something bigger than us, but I didn't really think past that. And none of the religions I ever were a part of, and I've been through quite a bit of all different, like drastically different types of religions, really ever resonated with me, which is why I didn't consider myself a religious person. But once I had my spiritual awakening and realized that there was much more than just this physical experience, I started to actively practice spirituality and trying different tools and modalities. Like I said, like using crystals and using sage and just whatever I could to kind of like clear my energy, um, of things that like I didn't need, that weren't serving me, and to ground myself so that I could fully connect and feel myself, feel my spirit, feel my soul. And I'm constantly trying to it's not even that like I need to try to connect, or any of us need to try to connect. We're always connected, like I said, but it's more so clearing out those beliefs and things that make it harder to really feel our spirit and hear it, and feel connected. It's like just getting rid of the things that aren't us. And the ego is not us. And so by kind of like not identifying with the ego as much and just letting it be in the background and do its thing and say, you know what, I don't think you should do that. But you could still be like, you know what, I know you're trying to protect me and I appreciate you, ego, but I'm going to do it anyways. Because my heart is telling me that that's what's best for me right now. And the more we do that and we kind of push our ego aside, put it in the back seat, and let our heart and our soul, our spirit take the lead, I feel like that is what makes life more joyous, more fulfilling, more satisfying. And then we just feel like we're on the right track because we keep seeing all of these signs and synchronicities aligning. And we start manifesting things and manifesting our dream life. And that puts us in a state of peace and overall happiness. It raises our vibration into that aspect of gratitude. So that is why I love spirituality so much. That's why I practice it. Like I said, it's not just one belief. Spiritual people can have all different types of beliefs. They don't have to believe the same thing. It's it's whatever you want to believe. It's whatever you want to follow, whatever guidance. It's whatever implement or practice you want to do to connect to you. So that is my video for today. I hope that kind of clears up maybe some misconceptions about spirituality, but everyone has their own definition. That's just mine. But if anybody was wondering what it is and why I'm so passionate about all things spiritual and why I created this channel and why I talk so much about it. So I hope all of you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night. And as always, I hope to see you in my next video. Bye everyone. Peace, love, and much light.